We're live from STS Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Was it really that good? And I have my co-host, Gene. I got to tell you this real quick. It's been 6 months. Well, it's been since January, not completely 6 months, but almost 6 months. I guess we'll make this every 6 months. How's that going to be?
Yeah, I hear you. It does feel like it's been a while. I didn't realize until you just said that it has almost been 6 months. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's in January sometime, and I think what happens is you get busy, I get busy. We got so much going on doing the Rolling Into Mempo, and you know this month, all episodes, Memphis in May. I want to say thank you because last May was a record for Memphis, and I have to put that pause in there, in May, so I won't be sued for the Memphis in May thing. So we had a record last May, but we broke last May's record around the 10th. So we're busy, man. We're busy. We still have this. This will be airing. We have Mark Southern coming back on, talking some stuff. We have Dustin Starr coming on the 22nd to join us for Rolling Into Mempo because they have a new studio, and I'm excited about it. Also, the Posse. And we have Dustin setting in for conversations for about 20 minutes just to talk about what he thinks are the hits and misses and such like we do on the review show. Before we came on, me and you was talking about your show and talking about getting involved in doing Rolling Into Mempo every week. One of those things that I just figured would be limited, but we're having a real good time, so we're going to go with it. But I want you to tell everyone how to listen, watch, whatever, your podcast now.
So, yeah, every Sunday night live at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, Cheap Eat TV Live with my co-hosts, both Charles Anders and Shane Mako. We have a guest on with us every Sunday night. And really to track everything, you can go to cheapeattvlive.com. We have all the past video versions and audio versions, all the different things that you can do with the show, merch, all that good stuff, videos of the guests, matches from them, promos from them. But to watch it live each week, you can go to youtube.com/cheapeattv or right here on Facebook at the Cheap Eat TV Live Facebook page or my page. Facebook.com/Gene Jackson 95 or maybe it's King of All Wrestling Media. I don't know.
You got two hosts now, two co-hosts now. You had this real handsome kid. Now I had a crush on him. So now what's his name?
Charles Anders, and so me and Anders have been buddies for a long time, and people say we have pretty good chemistry on screen. There was a review show, Stephen Platinum. Was talking about our show the other day and was saying that he enjoyed the chemistry of not only me and Xanders, but the Mako in the mix as well. And some people find Mako to be a handsome man, so we might have to have you on again. You may you may take a shine to him as well. But and those guys are going to be coming with me over to Amory, Mississippi on June the 5th when I defend my OWO championship, which I will have held for 526 days.
Good God.
I thought I'd throw that in there right now. Terrell Moore, the promoter, will not tell me if I'll either be challenged by Bad Attitude Tony Dabbs, Brett Michaels, or Carlito. One of those three people are going to be challenging for my championship that I've held for over 500 days. But I'm bringing Charles Anders and Shane Mako with me to watch my back, and we're leaving there with that title, I promise.
I don't blame you. I don't. 500-something days. It's just hilarious. I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome, yeah. Gene.
People keep leaving these laughing emojis. It's not my fault Terrell didn't run a show for a year and a half. That's on him. I would have defended it multiple times. I just didn't get the opportunity, but that's not my fault.
It's all his fault, not yours. All right, was it really that good? We're doing a little something different. It is from Memphis, Tennessee. It is 1999. It's February the 14th, and it's live in the Pyramid with the crowd chanting Jerry, 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 and crowd super fucking hot. Oh, man. Awesome,
yes.
Awesome. To
the point it almost sounded unnatural, like it almost sounded fake at times, but I know it was real because I know people who were there. But man, yeah, I ain't heard that in a while, so it was very cool watching that last night.
Here's what after watching the whole thing and then really realizing, and you'll know what I'm saying or what part of I'm thinking here is that everybody was over. not just the main guys, but everybody on this show came off as superstars. Even in the worst match, and we'll talk about it, Midian, he was part of the deal with Undertaker. So he still came off as a superstar. Let's get into the card real quick. Goldust beat Blue Dust, and we got to see Meanie's ass. So I just want everyone to know that. Go back
did is the bottom line.
And that just really wasn't a good match. But the crowd was big time into it. Everybody was always into Goldust, and I was just surprised at the stuff that they were doing with the Meanie, and the crowd was into Meanie. Was this after or before he got his ass whipped? I guess this would have been
way before. You talking about before the JBL thing?
Yeah.
That was like 06 or something. But
Yeah, not much in that match.
Yeah, that was a very unfortunate wardrobe choice by Meanie for Blue Dust there. But the fact that Meanie could pull off that moonsault, just every time I see it, I'm always amazed.
I'd like to see. Well, I seen him at. We seen him at Starcast, and the thing that surprised me about Meanie, because it was the first time that I seen him live before when he worked MCW. But it didn't. I stood side by side. That is a big man.
Yeah.
I thought he was, a lot smaller than he is. So it really gives you a perspective of how big Goldust is actually, because Goldust looks like he's towering over him. All right, the next match is, and I'm going to see if you can remember what the hell's going on here. So do you remember why Road Dogg's gone? Because we had Bob Holly, who's all fucking jacked up, against Al Snow, and we had they wrestled and fought, and this was a street fight or a hardcore match for the hardcore title, and they fought into the Mississippi River.
Yeah, I mean, these hardcore matches were real big at the time, and Al Snow had really gotten over doing them, and of course Bob Holly would go on to get over as Hardcore Holly. This is kind of where that kicked off, honestly. This match right here that ended up in the Mississippi River. I thought it was good for what it was. I thought it was awfully long for what it was. I think it could have been quite a bit shorter, but interesting finish, wrapping him up in the fencing outside.
I loved it. It was a fun match. Yeah,
it was a fun match, but I was just like, geez, I don't know. It felt long, but it was good for what it was. And like I say, it was kind of the birth of Hardcore Holly.
Was this one of Road Dogg's little suspensions or something? Because, he was supposed to work. So I don't remember.
Best of my recollection.
Yeah,
that seems to be what it was, unfortunately.
He had to go home for a little bit. Road Dogg had some problems. So then the next match was probably I said the worst match. Nothing really wrong. It was just two big guys fighting. That's pretty much all it was. Midian against Big Boss Man. I've got a question for you. Did Boss Man have a Confederate flag tattoo on his arm? Did you notice that?
Yes. And it's funny you asked that, because I just got through watching a few episodes of Monday Nitro from 96 leading up to Great American Bash 96. And he wore cutoff sleeves as Big Bubba. And it was very obvious. It's like a big Confederate flag with like his face over it. So, yes.
I saw that and I was like, which,
1996, 1999, Big Boss Man's from Georgia, it's
wait, Gene. Okay. Me and you both Southern boys. Okay. Let's be honest about this.
I'm just saying,
2021.
Nobody was shitting bricks about it in 96 or 99, but now I'm surprised they don't take it off the network.
I'm surprised you don't get but I mean, really, you're in Alabama and I'm in Arkansas, and we still see guys with Confederate flags flying in front of their trailer or tattoo on their arm. It's people think we're crazy, but it's the truth. You still see that shit. I marked out when Taker's music started. I always liked all these guys together. I know it's a little cheesy, but I did. I loved them being able to turn and giving everybody a little bit more of a gimmick by being part of Taker's ministry there. That
was definitely a device back then to get guys like Midian and Mabel, and it definitely leveled them up, especially Midian. The former Phineas Godwin, Tex Slazenger. That was definitely rubbing up against Undertaker and guys like that. Definitely made him made this match itself mean a lot more than it would have, had he been the Hog Farmer against the Big Boss Man.
Right. Those guys were still solid workers, both of them. And I made a note because there's a lot of people that started their career, and we're going to the fourth match, which has Jeff Jarrett. But a lot of people could be part of the Memphis alumni here, starting with Jerry when he was doing announcing. Midian, didn't Midian spend some time in USWA?
Yes, he was Tex Slazenger in the USWA. Most notably, pulled Scott Scott Bowden's pants down on live TV one Saturday morning and other things.
Taker started right here in Memphis. Jeff Jarrett, everybody knows that. Then as you go down the card, you got Kane. Kane was right here in Memphis.
Christmas Creature.
Shane McMahon calls Lawler Kingfish, which I thought was hilarious. Then we had Mankind, we had Rock, we had Stone Cold. All those guys made a trip through Memphis. And I want you to know, because I'm going to actually quiz Brian Thompson. When me and you get done, I'm bringing Brian Thompson, and I'm going to ask him the same question. There was somebody taking pictures ringside that has Memphis wrestling history. Who was taking pictures? Did you notice? Now this.
Did I see Bruno down there taking pictures at some point?
No, it was
not taking pictures. I thought I seen him around the stretcher when they were taking McMahon out.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
I missed the pictures though.
Jimmy Suzuki was at ringside, who's famous for the Randy Savage angle, where Randy jumped a Japanese photographer and beat the fuck out of him on Memphis television. So Jimmy was taking all the pictures. Never put Jimmy on your Facebook. He's really strange. Okay, so we had Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown against Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett. I really like this match. Basic tag team psychology. Man, Jarrett and Hart was just so good, man. Just so good.
I know this is, neither one of our podcasts, but I can't recommend Jarrett's new podcast enough.
I can't either. No,
I love it. I'm in the middle of the Owen Hart episode. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, people should check that out. But yeah, this match in particular, I didn't go into it a lot of high hopes, even though I like both teams, but I didn't remember it from this show. It was a good match. And I love the team of, Jeff and Owen and D'Lo and Mark Henry. The Sexual Chocolate theme song to this day pops me every time. And I forgot that Ivory came in as Mark Henry's girlfriend, apparently. I totally forgot that.
I didn't remember that at all, man. I was in total shock when I seen that. I was just like, what? I don't remember any of this, but I do. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to tell people, first of all, if you're not a Jeff Jarrett fan, you're still going to enjoy some of the stuff on the podcast. But if you are a Jeff Jarrett fan, you will really like it. He has a lot of fun stuff on the podcast, and he's not holding back any. And as usual, Conrad is very good at what he does. He is the godfather of podcasts. We could all be Conrad. We could all just be Conrad.
And Jeff just has he's excited, and it may change over time, but he just seems excited and enthusiastic about it. We're like JR and all those guys, I like their podcast, but they come off bitter and just pissy sometimes. But Jarrett seems really enthused about discussing his career, and that makes it a lot more fun to listen to, in my opinion.
I was impressed with what he said about Dave Meltzer. So they asked him about Dave, and he says, "Look, Dave, blah blah blah," and I was just like, "Yep, that's the way it was." So, all right, going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about we got 4 more matches to talk about, and answer the question: was it really that good? All right, back from commercial. I want to thank the sponsors. So the next match is really weird, and it was horrible, and it was long. And I don't know what the fuck was going on in the finish. Shamrock against Val Venis.
Yeah. I don't remember the next event. Obviously, this was going to lead to some sort of triple threat, I can only assume. But you had the whole weirdness of Shamrock's sister. I'm doing finger quotes. You can't see that to the people listening on audio, but Shamrock's sister, who was now with Val Venus, and for no real reason that you could tell watching this event, maybe leading up to it, Billy Gunn's a special referee. It didn't really get why or how or any of that. And like you said, it's kind of a train wreck. You know, the infamous spot at the end where Shamrock clearly tells his sister, slap me, almost holds up a sign telling her to slap him. And then after, so Venus ends up winning the Intercontinental title. Billy Gunn chases down Shamrock chases down Billy Gunn and attacks him. But then Billy Gunn comes back in and attacks Venus. And yeah, I could have did without the whole thing myself, but
crowd died too for this. It was way too long. I'm gonna tell you what, I loved Shamrock. I did. I think they could have done a lot more with him. And we talked about seeing people live, Billy Gunn was somebody that was absolutely huge in person. Just a big man.
Man, yes. Like, I'm sorry. Anytime Billy Gunn comes up, I always go back to being at All In and seeing Billy Gunn just tower over Brian Cage. Like, that is the moment that I realized Billy Gunn is a big ass dude, because Brian Cage looked tiny next to him. But
my story is I walk in the bathroom and see he's at the urinal, and I mean, this motherfucker. I come to about.
You were talking about something else.
No, about the middle of his back. I was so scared, I just turned around. There's no way he got so big. He's big everywhere. You know how they are. You got big hands, you got big this, you got big that, so fuck that shit. I turned around and left. So.
You knew he's going to only have 2 words for you. So, yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, why the hell did Ken Shamrock need to be in silly angles with a porn star about his sister? I mean, he should have been programmed with somebody on top, and he would have been a much bigger star for him.
I've never heard Stone Cold talk about him. I'd like to hear him talk about Ken and how they didn't ever program them two against each other.
I'd love to see Shamrock on his interview show, but I don't guess there's any way that would happen. But I mean, Jericho was on there, so who knows?
Right. All right. Speaking of, we had Triple H coming out with it was Triple H and X-Pac against China and Kane. And Triple H had that crowd. He had to pump them back up because he was like, I have to follow this shit. Do I really have to follow this shit? So I enjoyed this. It was entertaining. I like all these people. So
this is more like, I don't know, a lot of the Attitude Era stuff's a blur to me. And like, I just totally forgot like all the story leading into this match that China had turned on Triple H and joined the corporation or whatever, and Triple H was dressed like he should have been tagging with Kane. He had his red and black on, which felt weird, and I don't know, just everything about the match felt odd. But like I said, it was a good match and it was fun to watch, and you could tell Shane was leading to a match with X-Pac at WrestleMania on commentary. He's trying to get that X-Punk thing over and all that, but it was a lot better match than it had any right to be, considering China was involved.
And it was all about getting her in and getting, they did double heat on Triple H, and then double heat. Fell apart at the end a little bit, but it also was all about, here's what we got to do. We got to have her, her touch Triple H in the sense that gets the hot tag or whatever. To me, I go back to what I said earlier. It just felt like all 4 of those people were just such big stars. I mean, that's just the way it felt. Yeah, they were huge stars. All right, quick PSA coming up. Breaking news. This important PSA is brought to you by Manscaped.com. This is your pubic service announcement and the news you've been waiting for. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed that they have successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. That's right, which is now available for purchase in the United States and Canada. This new trimmer was just released a few days ago, and we're one of the first to get our hands on it and share the great news. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code STSPOD at manscaped.com. I was one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and guys, I'm blown away by the performance. The craftsmanship and details on the 4.0 are next level. Their advanced ceramic blade and safe skin or skin safe technology is so good, and it almost seems as if Manscaped worked with Elon Musk engineers to assure your testes are safe as possible. Hey, we've all had those funny stories and those bad grooming stories. So what I want you to do, Lance, I want you to tell me and tell everyone else what makes this trimmer different than other trimmers.
And what makes this trimmer different than all the other trimmers? I am glad you asked. A new multi-function on-off switch can engage a travel lock created for people who like to travel. And who doesn't like to travel? Come on, unless you're in the NBA. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when you need more precise shaves. The new trimmer even allows you to customize your trim all over through additional guard lengths with sizes 1 through 4. And for you math challenge people, that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. BT, I'm talking to you. And looks-wise, it's sleek with a two-tone matte and gloss finish that even features a hot foil stamped black chrome Manscaped logo. Show off that mower loud and proud. The optimized Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof, so you can groom in the shower and not have to worry about making a mess on the bathroom floor, with hair at least. Did I mention the wireless charging? The Lawnmower 4.0's new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, and that is a whole lot of syllables right there. Electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last even longer for you. If you're still trimming your face with your ball trimmer, it is time to make some changes. I mean, come on, let's face it. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code STSPOD at manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. Nobody wants to end up with pubes in their mouth, and your balls will indeed thank you.
Remember, guys, get 20% off and free shipping with the code STSPOD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use code STSPOD. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, thanks to Manscaped. I can't even talk tonight. Thanks to Manscaped. I appreciate that. Post edit. So the next match was Mankind against The Rock. So what do you think about that?
Man, Rosie was watching this with me last night. She don't usually watch a lot of the shows that I watch for these reviews, but she was here and we were watching it, and she was just shocked. I mean, she had seen it back in the day, but she's like, man, I didn't remember just how brutal parts of this match were. Like, you know, the backdrop off the table and then the stairs into his hip. And I was like, yeah, you watch the I Quit match from Royal Rumble in this match, and you would think that The Rock hated Mick Foley in real life because he beat the dog shit out of him every time they got in the ring. But, man, they were both just so freaking over. Like,
I hate these finishes, though.
That finish was awful, and that sucked because like you had two really great matches from them that both had the shitty ending, especially this one with no winner. But it's a hell of a match though, and I don't know. I think a lot of people maybe who didn't watch wrestling back then, who just kind of have gone back and watched bits and pieces or halfway followed it, remember The Rock as this fun-loving ha-ha guy, and he had all his catchphrases and his eyebrow and all that. But like Rock could throw down, and like he had some serious heavy-hitting matches with Mankind, Triple H, Austin, all these guys, he more than held his own. And this is a fine example of that because there was some rough shit in this match.
I really think if he had to do his shoot interview, he would go back and talk about especially some of these matches instead of just the comedy. Mankind match, Stone Cold, all of those matches just classic to me with the Rock. And I'm a huge Rock fan, so I'm going to be excited every time he's on the screen. So speaking of excited, both of these guys are talking about people over Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. Oh wow!
Little bit of trivia for you here. And
all right.
I don't claim to be a great historian of this.
All right,
but I'm quite confident in making the statement. The only steel cage match to ever take place in a Bass Pro Shop is this one right here that took place at the Pyramid. That's now a Bass Pro Shop.
But before it was a match. That's right. Yeah, I'll go with you there. I think you're right.
I don't know. I kept thinking that the whole time I'm watching this. Like, I can't believe this is the Bass Pro Shop now. That's freaking crazy. But man, I mean, to think that Memphis got the steel cage match between McMahon and Austin, because really, had you built to anything bigger than a one-on-one match between Austin and McMahon, I mean, everything they had done, for the past several months or 2 years was leading up to this moment. So to think that Memphis, got that matchup in particular is a big feather in their cap, and it's exactly what it needed to be. And I mean, you got to put McMahon over for taking the ass beating that he knew he needed to take, for people to not walk out of there feeling like they got screwed. And nobody could have called the Big Show finish coming up through the ring, but Austin still won. But it wasn't what you expected, because you thought, well, he's just going to go in there and bounce McMahon off every side of the cage for a few minutes and then stun him and pin him. McMahon took that bump off the cage through the announce table. I mean, it was I think it more than lived up to the hype and was what it needed to be. What was your thoughts on it?
I agree 100%. I thought it was a hell of a match. I think I sat back and said I would like to have been sitting when they started going over stuff. We want to do this. Who came up with this? What are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? You're not expecting, but, and this was one of those matches where it kind of Vince had done a lot of stuff, but this kind of opened your eyes to say, hey, this motherfucker's going to do anything to get his company over. He doesn't care. He's going to do it. He's going to do what has to be done. And you got a guy like Stone Cold who is so fucking over, at this point. And I love the finish because, like you said, we didn't know the Big Show was coming through there. We didn't even know Big Show had been signed at that point. Maybe we did, but we didn't know it was going to happen right then. So that was a cool thing about it.
Yeah, and dude, when he cut that promo, when they had McMahon on the stretcher and was rolling him out, and he cut that promo, and was like, you want to see me finish whipping McMahon's ass, or however he worded it. That hell yeah, when he started climbing back over the cage, like, it gave me goosebumps watching it in my living room. I mean, that crowd was so after the beating they had already watched Austin give him for the last 8 minutes or whatever it was. They were so hyped to see him climb out of that cage and finish the job. It was just, I just don't think anybody who wasn't around and was a fan back then really can wrap their head around just how over that guy was. We talk about Memphis wrestling. Me and you talked about how growing up, people don't understand if you were not in the Memphis area. We grew up as playing Jerry Lawler on the playground. I say that all the time, but that's what we did. But there is another that if they're not fans, when Stone Cold was popular, Stone Cold had a very short window. But the time that he was hot, it was one of the hottest runs ever in professional wrestling, and it was scary that you could go so often. I'm going to ask you what you think. Do you think 316 shirts or NWO? Well, NWO maybe for the longevity, but at the time, 316 maybe. Yeah, that's a really tough one to call, but it's hard to say because, man, they sold a shit pile of them NWO shirts, but man, those 316 ones, And then, around that time, that's when they were in mainstream stores. You went to the mall and they were at Hibbett's and they were all over the place. It wasn't just having to go to WWE.com to get them. Same with
you got them at Walmart. Yeah,
they were everywhere. Walmart, the whole 9 yards. But you said something about, Austin's, longevity. And somebody pointed out to me the other day, and it didn't occur to me until they said it. If you put the Austin's run and the Rock's run together combined, Cena had a longer run than either one. If you put them both together, because they were arguing over who drew the most money, or at least who made the most money personally. And they were like, Cena had to, because like his run lasted twice as long. Like if you put Austin and Rock together, he lasted longer than both.
Right.
I still don't know that he made more money than either one, especially not the Rock if you figure it now. But that still is pretty amazing to think about how quickly, those guys got over and then got out for, various reasons. If you look at Austin's run, it was not long, and neither was the Rock's. That's kind of crazy. And then you wonder how long would they have stayed over if they had just consistently stayed in WWE that whole time and had been able to wrestle. Would they have had the longevity that Cena was able to have, or would they have burned out, or,
I think the Rock's personally, I think his goal was to do what he's doing now. So it wasn't going to be something. It was going to be something that he would be, that he was using as a stepping stone. I think Stone Cold, because he got hurt, and the more you find out about Stone Cold and his run, he was hard to deal with Vince.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, whatever you want to say. I mean, if you were Vince, and he packed his shit and went home, and you don't do that kind of stuff, especially top stars. So he was a little bit more difficult, I think, to work with than say The Rock. But I think The Rock, in my opinion, The Rock, I call him Dewey. But Dewey, that's what his plans were, I think, was just the movie career.
Yeah, it was a means to an end, not a.
Yeah. I think that's what he was doing. So let me ask you: was it really that good?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't even think it's any question this week.
I agree 100%.
Or this
had a
month
real
or
good time.
whatever.
And like we said, I keep saying this stars. All right, guys, we've had some technical difficulties, and so I've got to bring Gene. I got to let Gene go, and I'm going to bring my old buddy Brian Thompson, who was live at this event. We're going to bring him in and finish the show. All right, as I promised, as we were talking, me and Gene, before we finish the episode, I want to bring my old buddy. That's right, my old buddy, Rhino BT. I mean, Brian Thompson. What's going on, Brian?
Rhino BT apparently is my new gimmick. So
we just did that as a rib, and then all of a sudden you're going to just come into every StreamYard now. If you're watching the stream, you will know what the hell we're talking about. If you're not, then I'm sorry about that. You was there live.
Yeah, I trademarked it. Now it's mine. So
that's right, Rhino BT.
I'll be suing you guys soon.
So you was there live, right, Brian?
I was. St. Valentine's Day Massacre in February 14th, 1999. Hence the name St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
What about that building? Tell me about this, because the first thing I thought of was we're live for the Pyramid. Mm-hmm. I seen Guns N' Roses there, and I was in nosebleed, actually second from top. So they were small. Yeah. But how was the build? Was the building as hot as it seemed like it was on television? That they were just popping for almost everything.
They were, and that's an interesting building when it comes to acoustics. I've seen a George Strait concert there a couple years after that, but the acoustics were kind of interesting in that building, and you always had kind of an awkward. I don't know if it's awkward or different or however you want to describe it. Feel to it. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it was different or awkward depending on how you viewed it, but. Yeah, that I just remember it seemed like that was a time in life where you couldn't get enough of wrestling. It was just so hot. I don't think they could do anything wrong. Like, it didn't matter, man. Everybody was over. It felt like, I can remember that much. It was just, we were all excited. That was the time I was 18, just, year and a half or so away from getting involved in the wrestling business myself. So I just couldn't get enough of it. And, if it was anywhere in the St. Louis to Memphis corridor, I was going, or even Nashville for that matter. At that time, I had my driver's license. I was a little older, and I was ready to hit the road, man. I was used to seeing shows in Cape Girardeau at the Show Me Center, WWF events, and so this was taking it to the next level. As I was 17, 18, I started getting to go to St. Louis, Memphis, and beyond. So even saw some independents in Big Malden, Missouri. There's a shout out.
There we go, Malden, Missouri. I actually talked about that with Alan Steele. Was talking about booking there. No one really knows what the hell psychology was. The weird thing about go ahead.
Let me add to that. So, kind of piggybacking off my comment about everything was over, there was a time when, as a diehard smart fan at the time, or whatever you want to refer to it as, there was Mike Cook's, Lee Kovacs, their promotion, AWF, I think is what they called it, or whatever. But they were running Malden in a lot of small towns in the Boot Hill, Missouri. They ran Bell City, Missouri, and had 300 or 400 people. And personally, I thought the show was just horrible, like as far as in-ring work rate, all the above. But those people ate it up. And I just felt like wrestling at that time was on such a hot streak. You and I could work a match and people would love it. As terrible as that match would be.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize to everybody if we ever do that.
Now, if the wrestling business needs to really go out and be buried, that's when it's happening, when these two mugs are getting in there in the actual ring to compete. But against each other.
What you're saying is true in the sense that and there was a lot more people watching television. We understand that.
All the above.
But all the stuff was just like, here's what I want to say about everybody that was on this show. And I may have said this with Gene too, but is that everybody on the show seemed like a star. Do you see what I'm saying? Everybody.
Right. You knew him.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, Bob Holly, Al Snow fighting in the Mississippi River. You had the only real bad match I thought was Media and Big Boss Man, but they also they seem like big stars. Media was doing that thing with Taker at the time. You had Billy Gunn doing, Shamrock, and man, it was good to see Shamrock again. I really would have liked to seen him pushed a lot more. China, Kane, Triple H, X-Pac, all of those guys. Jerry,
Hall of Famers right there. That's they're in their Hall of Famers in their prime. We're working.
Right. Oh, yeah. Rock, Mankind, all those guys, Stone Cold, McMahon, everything there. Here is what I thought was interesting. Well, first you got the crowd, and I mentioned this with Gene chanting Jerry. Then you had all these lists of people that's, Jeff Jarrett, who else? We have Mankind and Rock, both work Memphis, Stone Cold work Memphis. Do you know, I don't know if you noticed this, but do you know who was ringside taking photographs during this pay-per-view? A famous angle with Randy Savage was done with Jimmy Suzuki, and he was actually taking pictures. I marked out for it. I said, there's old Jimmy. Don't ever follow him on Facebook. He's
That's funny.
Just anything else that really
a couple of memories. So you mentioned probably the things that stand out were the electricity. I think that was my first time in the Pyramid. Pretty sure that may be the only wrestling show I've seen. No, excuse me, that's not. Let me. I was about to tell you a story and then I kind of backtracked there, but that was the first show I believe I've seen in the Pyramid. Then this is how hot wrestling was. So that night, they had a Monday Night Raw scheduled for, I believe, June of that same year. Tickets went on sale as the main event started. So I left. I missed the end of the cage match where the Big Show debuted and all that stuff because I was standing in line to get tickets to Monday Night Raw and get as close as I could. I had okay seats to the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But I ended up with third row, and we were so fast forward into June of '99. So a couple of us went down and we had tickets and we were like in the third row and they shoot to Cortez Kennedy was in the crowd, a football player. And you could see us in the background, but anyway, to me, that says it all. That's how hot it was. You would be willing to have spent X amount of dollars on a ticket and you leave the main event to go get a ticket to the next show because that's when they go on sale right away. So you want to be in that line to get that front row seat if all possible. So obviously today we just go online or whatever and we have that access. But even then it wasn't quite as prevalent. So you would have to, the on sale would be in person. I don't know of any on sales anymore that are, well, obviously these days, but even before the pandemic, the last decade, how many on sales were in person only? It's usually you get a lot of pre-sales online. So that's just the one thing how the world has changed. But again, kind of plays into how hot that crowd was and how hot the wrestling business in general was. You know, WCW was starting to taper off, and ECW was having financial problems. We probably didn't necessarily know that, or we might hear things, but it still seemed visually and mainstream, it still seemed like a super hot time in wrestling, even though WWF was starting to run away with everything, and we all know where that led to a couple years later down the road. But yeah, it was fun. Those are good memories. I mean, probably the thing I do remember the fight into the Mississippi River, that stands out, and of course the Austin thing. I was recording, so I bought a ticket, stood out in the line to get tickets to the Raw in a few months, but still had it on video to when I came home to
still
see.
Paid for it for the pay per view. Still paid the
right
pay per view. Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Look how much different now. So look how much even today you can, that same pay per view was probably $35-$40 at that point, and now $10 a month or $5 a month actually on Peacock you get everything, and it's just like amazing how much.
Well, I'm sure me and you talked about this either on the podcast or me and you. I know we talked about it off the podcast, and the technology changed professional wrestling like it did everything else. And it starts all the way back to when it got on television the first time, and before we were alive and kicking. And it started then, and then me having to wait. I love it when you talk about recording it or buying the pay per view. Me having to wait a month and or 5 weeks to get new Japanese wrestling, and I can watch it live I stay up late. I can watch it live from Japan. All right, man. Thanks for coming in and talking to us.
All right.
I appreciate it, man. Same bad time, same bad channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. And as everyone knows, Rhino BT knows too.
I know.
I love my mama.
He loves his mama. Woo!